We're pleased this morning to be joined by athletic director, boys basketball coach, and Super Bowl hero, Scott Humphrey from Centralia High School, or at least unwitting Super Bowl hero, because without Scott Humphrey, without Centralia, Tom Brady would not be making his 10th Super Bowl appearance. That's my story. I'm sticking with it, Scott. How did all this play out that you and the Australia Panthers have now played a role in Tom Brady returning to Super Bowl?
Well, I mean, I guess you can put it that way. I appreciate that. So back in August, I got a text message from a guy I do business with for equipment out of Marshall, out of Viking Athletics, and he said, "Give me a call." And so I gave him a call, and he said, "I got a unusual request." He asked if we had any of those white coach wristbands that every quarterback and football team and even softball teams use nowadays. And I said, I don't know. I can give my football coach a call. I'm sure we do. I don't know if we got any extras. And I said, what do you need them for? He goes, well, here's the kicker. He said, a buddy of his that used to work at Viking Athletics is now the head equipment trainer at Tampa Bay. And those specific wristbands are the only thing Tom Brady would wear. And apparently Tampa Bay didn't have any. Nobody around had any. And so he called back up here to Viking Athletics to say, hey, do you guys got any? He said, I don't have any in store, but I'll call around to the people I've sold them to. So we were on the list. He gave me a call. So I went to our head football coach and I said, I'm walking down the hall with him. And I said, do we have any of these? And he says, I'm sure we do. Why? And I said, well, Tom Brady needs them. And he said, what? And I said, well, here's the story, yada, yada, yada. So I called the guy at Viking, and he screenshots me the business card to the head equipment manager for Tampa Bay. I called Tampa Bay facilities. I get a hold of this guy named Brad Berlin. He's like, man, you're doing us a solid. I really appreciate it. Can you send them overnight? And so I sent them 3 overnight on August 20th. And, the whole time I'm just kind of like in awe of how this is all going down. I'm thinking, we're in mid Missouri here, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You guys can't find any of these. So I do it. And, I don't think a whole lot else about it, but I tell people the story, people believe it, don't believe it. And so nothing really comes of it. They actually contacted me again in October and needed some more. And we had those packaged up, but those actually I can't remember why we didn't get them out on time, but they said by the time we were going to get them out, they didn't need them. But, nothing came about it. Sunday rolls around, Chiefs win. They're in the Super Bowl versus Tom Brady. A friend of mine posts this whole story on Facebook, and boom, spread like wildfire, man. Here we are sitting here, and people want to know, like, how wristband to Tom Brady. Somebody asked me and said, is it true that Tom Brady's going to wear Centralia's wristband in the Super Bowl and all these things? And hey, man, that worked for us, whatever we want to say. So that's the story.
What's the attention been like? I mean, you touched on it blowing up, but you had no idea. And when you're an athletic director, every phone call is an adventure anyway.
Right.
But this this is off the charts.
Right. So when I saw it, I was actually sitting on the couch with my wife, and she showed me the phone of the post, and it just crossed my mind. I said, that's going to blow up. And about that time, KOMU out of Columbia sent me an email the next morning and wanted to do a story. You contacted me. And then the funny part of the whole thing was our previous head coach, a buddy of mine, Jim Newstead, who took a job last spring at West Platte. He was probably the guy that ordered these wristbands, and they were left over. Well, in the post, it was said that Coach Jim Newstead had done this. So he's in the Kansas City area. He calls me yesterday and says, what is this wristband Tom Brady thing that these news stations are calling me about in Kansas City? So I just told a story. I said, roll with it, man. You're famous too, so do your thing.
So I've got to ask this because it only makes sense. How much credit is Bo Horton taking for Tom Brady's success, since he's now stolen one of his wristbands, apparently?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he's taking tons of success for it.
From a standpoint of all of this, have you started, kind of measuring your finger for a ring size? Because I mean, if there's a Super Bowl to be had, there's got to be some kind of payback, isn't there?
Well, it's funny you say this. So I went when this all went down in August. Like I said, I'm kind of telling people this, and some people are thinking I'm blowing smoke and whatever. And my principal, Matt Smith, who's a huge Chiefs fan and a huge Patriots guy, he wants signed football, signed helmets. He wants Patriots gear. He doesn't want Buccaneers gear from Brady. He's got a list of demands that he wants. So it was one thing I did ask the equipment guy, Brad. When we were doing this, I said, I'm not trying to be that guy. I said, but I've got a nephew, my nephew Zane, who's a huge Tom Brady fan. I said, is there any way we could get like a football or a jersey signed? He was real cool about it. He said that Tom takes care of that stuff at the end of the season and he puts it on a list. And so, we'll see. We'll see if we get something. But that doesn't really matter to me. I think, like I said, Matt Smith's got a list of 10 things he wants that he'll be upset if we don't get, but it'll be all right.
Matt Smith the way we do, yes, that's not surprised me the least. Let's for
Right.
you, Scott.
Right.
Do you kind of watch the Super Bowl a little differently just now, knowing that there's a Centralia angle of all things to the biggest television spectacle on the planet?
Well, the funny part about it is, here we are in mid-Missouri. I mean, we're in Chiefs country, so it's like I'm a little afraid that if the Buccaneers win, like some people are going to be upset with me, like I had something to do with it. And like I said, I mean, that wristband was probably worn in practice in August or maybe a preseason game. So, but I mean, I'm gonna definitely root for the Chiefs. But yeah, I mean, it's a cool story. I mean, it makes you think it's a small world, and you can kind of get tied into something like that. And, it's cool.